Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the presentation portion of the Rensselaer County Legislature's March 2025 meeting. We have a couple of presentations tonight, but we're going to start with P 7325. This is a resolution adjourning the February 11th, 2025 legislative meeting in memory of Rensselaer County Legislator, the Honorable Thomas M. Walsh Sr. I'd ask Janae and her mom and the rest of the family to please come up front. And this is going to be a presentation by Legislator Harrington and anyone else who would like to join us up front.
Let me give you.
Take these out of your way. There you go.
Okay. Welcome here tonight. It's my honor as chairman of the Veterans Committee and to make this presentation in memory of Tom Walsh. I served with Tom in the National Guard back in 65, 66, 67. I didn't really we both officers, but Tom outranked me. So I didn't really get to know Tom real well, except take a few orders now and then. Then our paths crossed again when he became supervisor of Brunswick, but I never really worked with him there either that much. So in 1997, they asked me if I would run again. I had run in the 80s and got beat in 85, as well as a whole bunch of us did. Yeah, I said, I guess I'll run again if you want me to. So, and lo and behold, Tom gave up his job as supervisor of the town of Brunswick and decided he was going to run for the legislature. So we ran together in 97. So I really got to know Tom from then on, and we served together here for 20 years. Tom retired in 2017. And Tom was chairman of the Veterans Committee. He was a member of the County Veterans Committee, but he became chairman of the Veterans Committee in the legislature. And I don't know if that was the first year he came in or right thereafter. But so I got to know Tom real well. We're both veterans, and Tom was a dedicated veteran. I'll tell you that for sure. He was military all the way. He worked at the arsenal, as I said. So it's my honor to read this resolution for Tom. Whereas it is customary for this legislative body to pay honor and respect to persons who have had great impact and influence on the citizens of this country during their time on this earth. It is with particular deep sadness that we conclude this evening's deliberation in the absence of one of our own. And whereas Rensselaer County Legislature is deeply saddened by the passing of Thomas M. Walsh, a respected colleague and dedicated public servant, who departed this life on Wednesday, the 25th day of December of the year 2024 at the age of 89. Whereas Tom was born in Troy, the son of the late Miles Walsh and Irene Hargity, and was a graduate of Troy High. And whereas Thomas M. Walsh answered the call to serve his country by enlisting with the United States Army National Guard in 1953. Where he was assigned to the 105th Medical Command 27th Infantry Division and continued his education at the Command and General Staff College and the Industrial College of Armed Forces. And whereas throughout his 28-year military career, Thomas M. Walsh exemplified commitment and excellence, earning numerous commendations, including the New York State Long and Faithful Service Award, New York State Recruitment Medal, New York State Military Commendation Medal, New York State Aid to Civil Authorities Medal, New York State Humane Services Medal, Army Commendation Medal, 2 Meritorious Service Medals, and ultimately retiring with distinction as a lieutenant colonel. And whereas Thomas M. Walsh was a dedicated public servant and community leader, serving as Brunswick Town Supervisor before being elected to the Rensselaer County Legislature in '97, where he represented Legislative District Number 3, which includes the town of Brunswick, Schaghticoke, and Pittstown, with pride and distinction for 5 terms from January '98 through December 2017. Whereas during his tenure on the legislature, Thomas M. Walsh Sr. served with distinction as a member of the several committees throughout the years, such as Judiciary and Public Safety and Veterans and Youth. Whereas chairman of the Veterans Committee, Tom was the driving force of the Medal of Honor memorial called the Hall of Heroes, which stands as a testament to his enduring commitment to honoring the sacrifices of those veterans and service members. Whereas Thomas M. Walsh also served his community throughout his professional role as a at the Waterville Arsenal, where he's retired as Chief of Manufacturing, overseeing 1,300 employees, and throughout his involvement with Wells Communication, the Rensselaer County Jail Maintenance Department, and where he was also a member of the Knights of Columbus Council 10990, and whereas Tom was a dedicated family man who loved spending summertime with his family in Bolton Landing and traveling to Florida in the winter. Whereas survivors include, and this is a list, you can tell by the looks here. So please bear with me if I don't pronounce all these correctly. Survivors include his beloved wife of 68 years, Diane E. Walsh, his 5 children, Kathleen, Timothy Allard, Thomas Christine Walsh, Michael Jill Walsh, Mary David Scott Schulman, and Jennifer Christian Fitzpatrick, his grandchildren, Janae Nicolina, Tiana, Justin, Matthew, Patrick, Ashley, Shannon, Melissa, Chris, Skylar, Ethan, Hunter, Jesse, Austin, and his great-grandchildren, Gianna, Gabriella, Cameron, McKinley, Weston, Juliet Ivy, Serena, Jade, his sister Arlene Denova, his nieces and nephews, as well as many friends and colleagues. He was deceased by his parents, Miles Walsh and Irene Haggerty, his stepfather, William Haggerty, and his sister, Anina. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Rensselaer County Legislature adjourn this meeting in a moment of silent tribute in fond memory of Thomas M. Walsh Sr. and to reflect upon Tom's life as an exemplary service, fully confident that his legacy will continue this county for many, many years to come. And be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature transmit a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed to the family of the Honorable Thomas M. Walsh Sr. You can see this Hall of Heroes down there on the wall that Tom built the first Wall of Heroes at 1600 at the old building, and all the other displays of military, that was Tom's doing. So he spent a lot of time, extra time, honoring military veterans. When Tom left in 17, he called me, I think probably the next month, and said, I'm going to try to attend every meeting I can of the, when we honor a disabled veteran, and that's usually every month, the second Monday of every month. So he said, I'm still on the county highway, county veterans committee at the county level, but I want to attend. I'm definitely going to try to attend every legislative honoring every deceased veteran once a month, and he was dedicated to do that. Now he did say to me, if you don't mind, once in a while I might have something to say, which he did for 20 years. So he said, that'd be fine, Tom. You know, glad to have you. And I seriously was. So I think he had something to say just about every time he came, which was pretty much since 2017. So he was really sincere, though. You know, he and I both served some time with him. I served active duty time back in the early '60s before Vietnam. I served with Army Aircraft Field Maintenance in Europe, and got to know a lot of the pilots and things that's what they did. And some of those went on to Vietnam, and some of those gave the ultimate sacrifice. That's what, freedom is not free. There's the ultimate sacrifice, and also those who came back in shapes, without legs and arms and whatever. So Tom and I both want people to remember the cost of freedom is pretty dearly. So I said I lost some good people that I served with, so I get a little bit shaken up when I get talking about it. But seriously, we're both. He was really. I learned a lot from Tom. Tom was a hell of a good leader here for me, and he's going to be sorely missed on Mondays. That's for damn sure. Would you like to say a few things? We do have copies of this, and if we don't have enough, we can come up with some more.
It's hard to follow what Kenny said. Those of us who served in the legislature for a little while got to learn a lot from Tom. And what was striking to me about him was he would come to our Honor a Vet meetings monthly. And he would sit in the back, and he would be with your mom, right, and Kelly. So, of course, my name is Kelly, so I always made a fuss over the dog because she was cute as could be. But what was striking about Tom was that he eventually would come to the meetings in his dress uniform. And he was so proud. And when he would speak, because he would speak at every one of our meetings, he always tried to attribute his service to the person and to the family that we were honoring that month. And I think that always really made the other family members feel at ease and appreciated what he could bring to the ceremony. And since he passed, it hasn't been the same without him. And even when he was really sick toward the end, he was still here every month. And so it's an honor for all of us to recognize him tonight. We miss him terribly, and we appreciate everything that he taught us. And I think we're all better people and better legislators because of him. So thank you.
So I'm going to say a few words because I'm the guy who replaced Tom. And Tom has been a friend of mine since I was a kid through my father. And my father liked Tom. I know that for a fact. And Tom and I used to deliver lunches to the polling places every years ago, just me and Tom. And he took pride in it. But there's one little story about Tom is I started working for a state senator, I think it was Jordan, and she was kind of new. And Tom wanted a position, honorary position in the Guard, Army Navy Guard there over in Colony. And he gave me a booklet that big of all the information on Tom. So I said, wow, what am I going to do with this? He goes, there's an honorary position, maybe I can get it if you can find one for me. So I went through everything, and there was no, the positions, there was positions, but they did away with them like 10 years ago. And I broke it to Tom. So then I worked with, across the aisle with someone like John McDonald, and I said, John, I need your help. I got a good thing, but I probably need your help too. He goes, going to get a hold of them and see what we can do for him, because I heard there's something that Tom can get. And we worked on it, and we were able to get Tom 2 medals that he didn't know he had. And that was tremendous. And I know that John and I gave him to Tom, and John was there. We got a picture and everything. I don't know where that picture is, but And then Tom came to the next honor of ed ceremony with his uniform on, the first time. And guess what he had on? Those pins.
That's very nice.
So, Tom was a friend, and the whole family are friends of mine. I know you all, and you've all been good to me, so it's an honor to be up here.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say, Tom also served with the sheriff's office when I was there running the correctional facility. And he was there when they built the new jail. He offered input into the design of that facility and how it would work. That facility, when it opened in 1992, I think, was the first direct supervision jail in the state of New York. So it operated under a whole different scheme of supervision. And so the design had to be different as well to maintain control and of the people that were there. Tom was like MacGyver. He ran the maintenance office, and whenever anything went wrong or was going to go wrong, he was right there with a potential solution for it and what we could do to offset a problem. So I depended on him very, very, very much. You don't know what it's like when there is a problem as simple as things like somebody can't flush their toilet, and it depends on whose room it is, how mad they get, and how disruptive they become. So we really had to respond to issues that happened there, and he was always like my right-hand guy to be right there and take care of it. And he was there for 10 years while I was there for 16, and I missed him when he left, but what a great guy and a friend. Yes.
I just want to say on behalf of our family, thank you very much. This is truly an honor, and he would be so grateful for this. So thank you. This was his second favorite place to be. Besides being at the camp with his family, this was his second favorite place to be. He loved representing the residents of Rensselaer County and the veterans. So thank you very much.
Go ahead.
That's all I'll remember.
Thank you very much. How's it going? Oh, my God.
Our next resolution is P 6625. This is a resolution recognizing Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rensselaer County for their contributions during the National Nutritional Month in Rensselaer County and designating the month of March 2025 as National Nutrition Month in Rensselaer County. And this is a presentation by Bernie Weissman. Bernie, if you want to come on up, and also our legislators Harrington and Wysocki.
Pull it together, Kim, let's go. Pull it together. This one's a short.
I see Bernie's not here, so
Yeah.
we're filling in for Bernie. Okay. P 6625, resolution recognizing Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rensselaer County for their contributions during National Nutrition Month in Rensselaer County and designating the month of March 2025 as National Nutrition Month in Rensselaer County. Whereas the Cornell Cooperative Extension Association of Rensselaer County enables people to improve their lives and communities through learning partnerships that put extension and research knowledge to work. And whereas the Cornell Cooperative Extension System is a viable partnership between federal, state, and county governments, educational outreach of land grants, universities, knowledge, and research, and youth, volunteers, and staff. And whereas Cornell Cooperative Extension offers free or low-cost educational workshops, applied research projects, and lots of useful information on food-related topics from food safety and nutrition to healthy eating on a limited budget. And whereas March is National Nutrition Month, and Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rensselaer County teaches the value of local foods, healthful nutrition classes, programs to over 800 Rensselaer County families in low-income households, over 700 seniors throughout the Department of Aging, and over 1,100 youth throughout nutrition sessions, 120 low-income residents in group classes or in-home workshops, and over 50,000 residents in media campaigns in nutrition and healthful eating. And whereas the theme of National Nutrition Month of 2025 is Food Connections, us and highlights the connection between food, health, and access and traditions at all stages of life. And whereas Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rensselaer County is part of the Capital District's team that provide nutritional education and support through in-service and community experiences from professional nutrition educators from 9 counties. And now be it resolved, the Rensselaer County Legislature hereby designates the month of March 2025 as Cornell Cooperative Extension and National Nutrition Month in Rensselaer County. And further be resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Rensselaer County Cornell Cooperative Extension. And give it, I'm sure Bernie. And anybody want to speak? Okay.
And we brought snacks.
Snacks are always good.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. My name is Eileen DePaula. I am the 4-H Program Coordinator for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rensselaer County. I also do a lot of youth nutrition and culinary arts programs. So I just wanted to highlight a few things that we are doing with our 4-H program as far as nutrition. A lot of our 4-H clubs, tabling events, school programs. I'm going out to Averill Park next week to do some second grade healthy snack programs, which will be a lot of energy and a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. But we all have to eat, and it's really important that we know, especially with our youth, that we teach them how to prepare their food properly, safely, and also that it tastes good, because let's face it, they're not going to eat it if it doesn't taste good. So one program I wanted to highlight is our Junior Chefs Workshop. We meet monthly. We had a program last night. If any of you were here late, you probably smelled us cooking. The youth learn a lot of different life skills, food preparation, kitchen safety and sanitation, nutrition, and also communication skills, which is so important. Because when we wrap up each of our workshops, they have to share a little bit about what they learned, what they liked, what they didn't. My one hard, fast rule is that they have to try it, no matter what we made. It's okay if they don't like it, but at least they've tried it. And we also do each month we have a different theme. So sometimes it's seasonal, like next month I'll be doing something spring related. In the summer we do food preservation. We usually use the kitchen at the Troy Senior Center, which is absolutely gorgeous, and we're so lucky that we have that. We really appreciate being able to go there. We also do international foods, and when we get closer to the holidays, we might do some holiday themed. I also really stress locally sourced foods, which are healthier and also a little more economical, and helps our local economy. The other program I wanted to share a little bit about is our Junior Chefs competition that we do at the Scotticoke Fair. Last year was the first year we did it. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, twice a day, we had a contest. It was open to any youth. They came, they received some kind of a secret ingredient that they had to incorporate into a food product that they made, and then they were judged. And Mr. Casal was one of our judges, and he was very gracious about it, and I'm hoping I get him back again this year. But that's also a lot of life skills there also. They were judged on their presentation, their teamwork, how well they incorporated whatever the secret ingredient was into their final product, and then presenting again, communicating to the judges, because they did talk to them about whatever it was. And then, of course, taste and how creative they were. And it was a lot of fun. So if you're around at the fair, I'm always looking for judges, and I'm sure Mr. Casal will tell you what a great experience it is. It was a lot of, last year was the first year we did it. We weren't quite sure how it was going to go, but it was very successful. So if you're around any of those days, stop in and watch the kids. It's just a wonderful experience, and it's so the fair building is so busy and crazy, and it's just a wonderful experience for them to be able to communicate, come up with whatever they're going to make, and concentrate. And they have a very short time period that they have to do it, so they really have to have some really good thinking skills. So now I'm going to turn this over to Nick. He's going to talk a little bit about our adult programs. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support. We could not do what we do without you, so thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicola Segoloni. I'm a new hire here at Cornell, and I'm very impressed with everything they do and what we do. And since nutrition for CCE has always been a cornerstone in our commitment to helping individuals and families make healthier choices. The commitment is stronger than ever. Our Healthy Living programs brings fun and easy to understand health education to everyone. Through workshops, activities, and expert advice, our educators teach simple ways to eat better, stay active, and live healthier life. We believe that making healthier choices should be accessible, enjoyable, and sustainable for all. Capital Region STEP-Ed is making a real impact with families and schools offering nutrition education, covering My Plate, healthier snacks, and physical activities, along with our school wellness program, which helps schools update policies and encourage movement and better food choices. Building Healthy Habits with FNF offer hands-on, flexible programs teaching practical skills like eating well on a budget, managing picky eaters, improving food safety, and incorporating more fruits and vegetables into meals. Beyond nutrition, we recognize the importance of digital skills. Our digital literacy program offers training for residents, business, and school with Bring Your Own Device drop-in sessions, one-to-one tech coaching, and Senior Planet workshop to support older adults. We also support horticulture and agriculture education. Our horticulture program provides expert guidance, diagnostic services, and hands-on learning through the demonstration garden. Master gardeners educate the community on sustainable gardening. Through agricultural outreach, we help farmers improve efficiency and connect consumers with fresh, local food through a harvest connection. At CCA, We are very committed to educating individuals about the value of sourcing local food and how they support our community while promoting good nutrition. Thank you for your support as we continue this important work.
Thanks. Kenny, you want to say something? No, I'm done. You can say. Mark?
Well, I guess, the only thing I can say is I've been around 4-H. I've been around cooperative extension for a number of years as a farmer, still involved. And I think I joined 4-H in 1950, so 75 years ago. So I know what it's all about. You do a good job. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
So as always, we always have some great treats and goodies that they're going to pass out for us. We always look forward to this. Little snack, little dinner. Wow, they're big bags. Maybe we're not getting the big bags. They look pretty good.
On the corner over there, there are little bags, brown bags. We put in some soil starters, tomato seeds, and a couple of recipes to, if you've grown your tomatoes, and you can make sauce. I'm Italian, so that's, what you want to do, sauce. So. Mangia, help yourself.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you to Bernie and Eileen, Nick, and team for bringing us all the goodies and for some starter plans. Very nice. Okay, we have speakers tonight. We just have one speaker signed up this evening. So I'd like to welcome Andy Lashwa. He's here to speak on P108. If you'd like to come right up front to the podium. Good evening. Thanks for coming.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Andy Lashwa. I'm a retired sergeant for the New York State Department of Corrections. Thank you, Legislator Rogers, for inviting me here to speak, and for County Executive Steve McLaughlin, the entire Rensselaer County Legislature, for inviting us here to be part of your meeting tonight. The HALT Act has created policies that weaken the infrastructure of New York State correctional facilities to the point where the systems and controls that protected everyone behind the walls for decades are no longer a deterrent. Special housing units are for inmates who seriously violate the rules or laws inside prison. Privileges are taken away, rules are more strict, and life is more regimented to protect staff and other inmates. It is not solitary confinement. These SHUs are not dungeons. They are well-kept, modern facilities that provide inmates with every necessary service practically 24 hours a day. Unfortunately, HALT has weakened the security controls that protect staff and inmates. As a result, HALT inmates are now mandated to spend a large portion of the day outside of their SHU cell. This in turn requires extra security staff. Due to HALT staffing mandates, jails are required to staff HALT program security posts before general population programs, thus making it more difficult for good inmates to complete their required programming for early release and educational improvement. Jails are already at 70% staffing. It now requires 3 times the number of officers to operate an SHU, but no extra manpower was authorized to cover it. That 70% is now, say, 60%. Now divide that into 3 shifts. Take away regular days off, vacations, sick leave, on-the-job injuries, training days, detached service, military service, inmate transportation details, and so on. Now you're at about 45 or 50%. So these officers are expected to make it work with half of the workforce required for safe operations. New York State prisons do provide anti-violence and drug alcohol abuse programs, but due to HALT Act guidelines for pre-hearing confinement and practically no anti-drug policies that deter possession or use, violence and drug abuse in our facilities are at epic levels. Deadly fentanyl exposure is the newest threat to officers' lives. Stats don't lie. Officers and staff have it really, really bad. And the good inmates have it even worse. In 2018, more relaxed disciplinary guidelines were introduced in preparation for HALT's full implementation in 2022. In 2018, there were 813 inmate on staff assaults and 985 inmate on inmate assaults. That's a lot, yes? I want you to wrap your head around those numbers for a minute. And remember, the authors of the HALT Act promised that violence would go down and everyone will be more safe. In 2024, there were over 2,000 inmate on staff assaults. That's around 6 every day for 365 days. 6 violent assaults on staff every day for 365 days. I would ask anyone who supports HALT to look these officers in the eye back there and tell them that it's acceptable, that they'll be one of the 6 assaulted today, because there'll be 6 more tomorrow, and there'll be 6 more after that. It will keep getting worse, and it won't stop. There were almost 3,000 inmate on inmate assaults. That's around 8 every day for 365 days. 8 inmate on inmate assaults every day for 365 days. Again, I ask anyone who supports HALT to look the families of those inmates in the eye and tell them it's acceptable. It is undeniably not acceptable. In 2018, the statewide prison population was around 55,000. In 2024, it was around 33,000. In that time, violence in New York State prisons has tripled, with over 20,000 less inmates. Statewide mandated security staffing levels are unsustainable, and our prisons have never been less safe. The common denominator is the HALT Act. Nobody inside a prison anywhere deserves the inhumane conditions that the HALT Act has created. Thank you to the Rensselaer County Legislature for your resolution seeking the repeal of HALT and for your efforts to make our prisons safer for everyone. Thank you. Did anybody have any questions? Am I allowed to answer questions? We're good? Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Thank you to Andy and the rest of the officers who are here with you this evening. Last week, we also had a group of officers, local and our state COs who were here and provided the group with similar stories. Some of them were very in-depth, talking about the issues that the HALT Act has kind of perpetuated. I think to that point, it's perpetuated some bad behavior, and the other part of this is the incarcerated individuals who are complying, as you had mentioned, are having a more difficult time. But we also need to keep them safe, but we also need to keep our COs, all of our officers in our jails and in our prisons safe. That is what this should be about. And I hope tonight that everyone in this room, my colleagues in the legislature, all vote unanimously with us to support this. Thank you. We are now going to call the regular meeting to order of the March 11th meeting. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Cassell?
Here.
Mr. Choquette?
Here.
Mr. Fiacco?
Here.
Mr. Fleming?
Here.
Mr. Gillespie?
Here.
Mr. Genren?
Here.
Mr. Grant?
Present.
Mr. Grimm? Mr. Harrington?
Present.
Mr. Leverage?
Here.
Mr. Maloney?
Here.
Ms. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Patiri?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Weaver? Mr. Wysocki?
Here.
Mr. Zaluski?
Here.
Chairwoman Hoffman?
Here.
There are 16 present and 3 absent.
Invocation, Mr. Grant.
Lord, help us to choose love and not fear, to change ourselves, to act justly for the sake of the vulnerable, and to make a difference today for the life tomorrow. We make this our prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Fleming.
I
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Harrington.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 11th, 2025, and approve the minutes as printed.
Okay, do I have a second? Mr. Maloney? Second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. We'll move on to the agenda, presentation of petitions,
On file?
presentation of communications,
On file?
reports of commissions,
On file?
departmental reports,
On file?
reports of standing committees,
On file?
local laws.
There are none tonight.
Okay. G, 7425.
G 7425, resolution authorizing an agreement with Brightside Up, Inc. for daycare registrations and inspections, Department of Social Services, introduced by legislators Grant, Leverage, and Weaver.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 7525.
G 7525, resolution authorizing agreements with Together for Youth for non-secure detention and alternatives to detention services, Department of Social Services, introduced by legislators Grant, Leverage, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 7625.
G 7625, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, public defender, conflict defender, and public administrator, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 7725.
G 7725, resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 tandem axle dump trucks and associated highway equipment, Highway Department, introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 7825.
G 7825, resolution authorizing payment for truck repair, Highway Department, introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 7925.
G 7925, resolution authorizing additional floor work at main courthouse and amending the 2025 Rensselaer County adopted budget, Buildings Department, introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8025.
G 8025, resolution authorizing additional railing assembly work at main courthouse and amending the 2025 Rensselaer County adopted budget, Buildings Department, introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8125.
G 8125, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Office of the Rensselaer County Sheriff, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8225.
G 8225, resolution authorizing the extension of a grant from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services and amending and amended an agreement with Innovative Emergency Management, Inc., Bureau of Public Safety, introduced by legislators Leverage, Grant, Weaver, and Maloney.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8325.
G 8325, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Bureau of Public Safety and the Bureau of Research and Information Services, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8425.
G 8425, resolution authorizing a contract with Casella Waste Management of New York, Inc. for trash removal services for the Buildings Department, Department of Aging Senior Centers, Highway Department, Public Safety, and Sewer District, Bureau of Central Services, introduced by legislators Leverage, Grant, Weaver, Bailey, Hoffman, and Grimm.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8525.
G 8525, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Department of Probation, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8625.
G 8625, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Department of Probation, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8725.
G 8725, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Office of the Rensselaer County Sheriff, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8825.
G 8825, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Office of the Rensselaer County Sheriff, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 8925.
G 8925, resolution authorizing the purchase of 1 pickup truck for the Jail Maintenance Department, Office of the Rensselaer County Sheriff, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 9025.
G 9025, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Public Defender, Conflict Defender, and Public Administrator, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 9125.
G 9125, resolution amending the 2025 Rensselaer County adopted budget, District Attorney, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 9225.
G 9225, resolution authorizing the purchase of office furniture, District Attorney, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9325.
G9325, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budget. District Attorney, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9425.
G9425, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets. Public Defender and Conflict Defender, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9525.
G9525, resolution amending the 2024-2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets. Public Defender, Conflict Defender, and Public Administrator, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9625.
G9625, resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds as part of the Household Hazardous Waste Collections Event for 2025 Environmental Management Council, introduced by legislators Cassell, Choquette, and Zaluski.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9725.
G9725, resolution authorizing a contract for refuse removal for the Public Safety Building Sheriff's Department and Van Rensselaer Manor Nursing Home, Bureau of Central Services, introduced by legislators Leverage, Grant, Weaver, Bailey, Hoffman, and Grimm.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9825.
G9825, resolution authorizing a tentative settlement agreement between the County of Rensselaer, the Rensselaer County Sheriff, and the United Public Services Employees Union, sue the COPS Unit, Office of the Rensselaer County Sheriff, introduced by legislators Leverage, Grant, Weaver, and Maloney.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G9925.
G9925, resolution amending the 2024 and 2025 Rensselaer County adopted budgets, Public Defender and Conflict Defender, and Public Administrator, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and Weaver.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G125.
G125, resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant award from the New York State Office of Aging, New York Connects Expansion and Enhancement Program, amending the 2025 Rensselaer County adopted budget and the creation of a new position, Unified Family Services, Department of Aging Services, introduced by legislators Choquette, Fiacco, and Gillespie.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10125.
P10125, resolution appointing members to the Rensselaer County Soil and Water Conservation Board, introduced by legislators Hoffman, Leverage, Harrington, Grimm, and Nichols.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
14 ayes, 2 abstentions, Mr. Patiri and Mr. Wysocki.
So moved. P10225.
P10225, resolution recognizing April 13th through the 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Rensselaer County, introduced by legislators Grant, Maloney, and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10325.
P10325, resolution recognizing April 2025 as National Donate Life Month, introduced by legislators Hoffman, Bailey, Fiacco, Grant, and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10425.
P10425, resolution recognizing April 2025 as Child Abuse Awareness Month in Rensselaer County, introduced by legislators Hoffman and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10525.
P10525, resolution recognizing April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as Library Week in Rensselaer County, introduced by legislators Cassell, Jenner, and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10625.
P10625, resolution recognizing the month of April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Rensselaer County, introduced by legislators Grimm, Nichols, Fleming, Gillespie, Weaver, Zaluski, and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10725.
P10725, resolution recognizing April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as National Crime Victims Week in Rensselaer County, introduced by legislators Grimm, Nichols, Fleming, Gillespie, Weaver, and Zaluski, and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P10825.
P10825, resolution urging the New York State Governor Kathy Hochul and the New York State Legislature to repeal the HALT Act and restore order in New York State prisons, introduced by legislator Rogers, Leverage, and the entire legislative body.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Leverage?
I propose an amendment to this resolution
to follow the first resolve segment and insert it as a second resolve and read as follows. Resolved that the Rensselaer County Legislature strongly opposes Governor Hochul's March 10th, 2025 Executive Order number 47.3 that temporarily suspends or modifies civil service law, county law, municipal home rule law, correction law, and criminal procedure law to, quote, prohibit the appointment, transfer, and promotion of any individual previously employed by the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. And be it further, can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
So all those in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes on the amendment.
Okay, so then we will call for a vote on the amended resolution of P-10825. Mr. Rogers?
Give a roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Yes, let's do a roll call vote, please.
No, I'll wait.
Okay,
Mr. Cassell?
Yeah.
Mr. Choquette?
Yes.
Mr. Fiacco?
Aye.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Genrin?
Yes.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Harrington?
Aye.
Mr. Leverage?
Yes.
Mr. Maloney?
Yes.
Ms. Nichols?
This is on the amendment?
No, this is on the resolution proper after amendment. I'm sorry, I'd like to speak on my vote and
okay.
explain my vote. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Fleming?
It was my mistake,
That's okay.
We live by rules and laws, and that's why people that are in prison are in prison, to be honest with you, they're lawbreakers. And the folks who are correctional folks do a job that I would never be able to do. It's a painstaking, heart-wrenching job to be, really locked inside prison with these lawbreakers. I also know that, and Andy, when he gave his presentation, compelling, absolutely compelling, the statistics of the rise in assaults on corrections officers and fellow inmates is startling, to be honest with you. But I know that previous to the HALT Act, there were many problems with solitary confinement and issues with prisoners. Inhumane, honestly, some of it, and unhealthy if we ever wanted to correct their problems, mental health issues and so on. So I'm really, I know it doesn't make any difference, but I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna abstain. I support the hardworking men and women in our correction services, but I worry about a return to a spot with no laws and no guidelines. I abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers?
Here. As being a correctional officer for 27 years, I can assure each and every one of you, back when I was in the prison system, we had a 3-tier system, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Each tier was based on the severity of the offense that the individual either committed against a correctional officer or a fellow inmate. These punishments were guidelines that were set forth. There was not inhumane treatment, I can honestly say. Everything was done based on severity and all that. And just a little notion too, as you know, all this stuff's been going on. This week, there was a publication of an officer's wife who was a nurse out of one of the facilities. She got exposed to an illegal drug. She was pregnant. She had a miscarriage and lost her baby. So if there's any doubt in anybody's mind why this whole bill needs to be repealed, there's nothing worse than the loss of a child, born or unborn. And it's heart-wrenching. And I can't imagine any one of us having a daughter, a granddaughter, or our own wife losing a child. And if that isn't something that's enough to say that this is enough, and we have a governor now who wants to say, you cannot go to work anyplace else because I'm gonna stamp my feet and carry on like a child because I didn't get what I wanted. This is ridiculous. These officers deserve much better, and I only hope that this legislative body continues to do what they're doing and vote in favor of canceling this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
1 second, Mr. Leverage. Or did-
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I was the last one to vote.
No, we were.
So I was at Nichols, and then Mark asked to be.
Correct.
I was the last one.
Abstained.
Like, how did he vote after you?
Because he just stood up and changed his vote from instead of the vote.
And she was your vote. Okay. The normal rule is once a roll call starts, you proceed, you can explain your vote, but you can't get into open discussion in the middle of the roll call. That's all we're pointing out. But we've digressed already, so Madam Chair, you control the floor. It's up to you.
Yes.
Continue on.
The amendment has already passed, but on the roll call, on the amended resolution. Yes.
Did we finish the roll call vote?
No. Mr. Leverage?
I can follow Mr. Danaher's suggestion. I can wait until the end of the roll call vote to make comment if I can.
Okay. Let's continue with the roll call vote, please.
Ms. Nichols?
I also want to explain my vote.
Ms. Nichols?
I understand the HALT Act to have been created by legislators with the best interests of all who serve in our correctional facilities at heart. I also recognize that not all legislation that's crafted is good, and many times it has unintended consequences. And I was very moved by the stories that we heard on Wednesday and the statistics that we heard tonight, and it's heart-wrenching what you shared. And I believe that the vast majority of our correction workers are good people doing hard work. When I read through the HALT Act, one of the things that astounded me is the level of staffing that would take to adequately implement that legislation. And obviously what we're hearing is that the staffing just continues to go down in a way that leaves the system unsafe for everybody. I learned today that the governor has put a 90-day halt on the HALT Act in order for it to be reviewed and reevaluated. So my concern with voting to repeal is doing that before we know what the legislation would actually look at after being reevaluated with the legitimate and important concerns that have been raised through this strike and by the correctional officers. And for that reason, recognizing the tension between legislation that was crafted in order to address an actual problem and all of the unintended consequences of that legislation, because of the tension there and this opportunity to reevaluate it, I'm abstaining.
Thank you.
Mr. Patiri?
Yes?
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Patiri.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Wysocki?
Yes.
Mr. Zaluski?
To explain my vote?
Mr. Zaluski?
Thank you. So as you know, Chair, last week I asked to have my name added to this legislation. And that's due to the fact that I have a close family member who is a correctional officer in Mid-State in Marcy, New York. And long before we had anyone from the public come last week to explain their experiences as correctional officers and today as well, I reached out to my family member as soon as this legislation was introduced and asked a lot of questions, and the picture that was painted was troubling. And everything that I gathered from him was repeated almost verbatim by the officers who came to speak to us, including their inability to adequately protect the good inmates, the folks that they know they've done something wrong, they want to do their time, make amends, and get out. And instead, there's gangs in these prisons that will make them pay just to go to the bathroom. Obviously, there's stabbings, correctional officers and inmates get feces and urine thrown at them. It's a really disturbing picture that that I got from my family member. So that's why I asked to have my name added. I understand why the HALT Act was put in place. We get it. You don't want folks to be treated inhumanely, even though some of these folks have treated other people far more inhumanely, and that's why they're there. And you don't want to classify all inmates as the same. There are good inmates that are just trying to do their time, and there's folks that are just troublemakers. And some maybe you can rehabilitate, and some unfortunately you can't. And the system needs a way to separate these folks from each other. I know that I learned a lot in this conversation. There's these housing units. So jails are not just, these prisons are not just all cells, right? There's housing units where inmates can go and they're living in, I mean, it's not luxury housing, but it's also not jail cells. But some of these housing units might have 50 inmates to a single correctional officer monitoring that housing unit. They're far outnumbered. Depending on the shift, what I gather is sometimes you could have 6 to 1, 15 to 1, or 20 to 1 inmates to officers. Again, they're far outnumbered. When they're in what they call the yard, you're talking potentially 100 or more to maybe 6 correctional officers. I mean, Legislator Rogers, correct me if I'm wrong on what I'm saying. I'm literally repeating what I got from a correctional officer. So clearly, things were generally, quote unquote, quiet in our prisons. The law got passed, and then things started going downhill. I think there's some correlation there. I could certainly be wrong, we could all be wrong, but it seems like there's a correlation. So I think the law does need to be revisited. I'm gonna support this legislation. Also, Legislator Nichols made the point that, and that's why I was trying to talk to CJ before the meeting to understand what this suspension of the HALT Act means in terms of, the implementation in our prisons right now. Is it still being implemented, or is it off the table? This 90-day suspension, I don't really understand it. I'm sure we'll get clarification on that, but in the meantime, I will support this legislation. I vote aye.
Thank you, Mr. Zaluski.
Chairwoman Hoffman?
As I mentioned last week, and I'll say it again tonight, reiterate that for some of us who have had officers in their family or have been married to one, being a corrections officer, I have no idea what that position is like, but I know someone I was married to, and still married to that person who started his career in corrections. So I sit at a dinner table with the same folks that you do, your spouses, your children, your family members, and remember the days when my husband and friends and others were ordered to stay long hours because staffing was so difficult. And again, the HALT Act, I think, probably had good intentions as far as focusing on safety, right? But there were some things in there, obviously, that didn't work the way it may have been intended. And now we're worrying about our COs that are in the prisons and in the jails that has really had the opposite effect of what the HALT Act was supposed to do in the long run. And again, I say this because there are individuals who are incarcerated who are also trying to do the right thing, trying to be rehabilitated, and you have other inmates who potentially are causing difficulty for them as well and making the facility unsafe. So for those reasons, I am voting yes to repeal the HALT Act.
14 ayes, 2 abstentions. Mr. Fleming and Ms. Nichols.
Mr. Loveridge.
Worked as a correctional officer, I was a jail inspector, I was a superintendent of a correctional facility. I did it all, at every single level. Isolated housing inside a correctional facility is a tool for the people that work there. It's a tool to make it a safer environment for everybody that visits, lives there, who's confined there, and who works there. When people act inappropriately according to the rules and regulations that are in place, and they become violent or threatening to other people, there needs to be another location where you put them. You can't leave them in those housing units where there are 50 other inmates with them interacting with one correction officer. It's isolated housing. People refer to it as solitary confinement. In fact, the legislators who wrote the original law called it solitary confinement. COs didn't make that up, okay? It's isolated housing by choice for positive management to keep the facility safe. That's what it's supposed to be. Now, over the years, there may have been issues. I haven't worked in the system in a number of years, but there could be issues that arose to cause people to want to question whether that particular policy that's being used is being applied most humanely. But the problem happened here. You didn't ask the people who work in the system, what can we do to make it better? What can we do to make it safer for everybody? What can we do to make it really work as a deterrent for that behavior and try to get people to obey the policies and procedures out there? They didn't involve those people. You had people like you, and not even me, because I'm in the system. You had people who were legislators in the state system, may have had no experience in working in jails and prisons, had no idea how they operate, how they work, the importance of isolation and moving people to other locations in the facility, come up with this grand idea that they're gonna fix this. And they came up with the HALT Act. The HALT Act obviously doesn't work. You've heard the statistics, what has happened to the system. I feel so bad for the people that are here to know that that's what happened to the system I worked in. That it deteriorated to that point. And now, we're gonna take two wrongs and try to make them a right. Instead of the state legislature and the governor saying, okay, hold on, we must have a big problem for what just happened in reference to the actions of the staff. Can we stop? Can we do away with the HALT Act? Can we go back to the root policies we had before? And now let's scrutinize that application so we can find out legitimate deficiencies that might exist. Look at the real world. But they won't do away with the HALT Act. You say they did away, no. They're postponing different portions of it and then they're gonna bring it back in 90 days. What I'm really concerned about is the lack of understanding to how the state and our officials are dealing with these people that have to work in that environment. They are ignorant. They are ignorant, and we are obligated to be responsible looking out for the people that are in our county when the people above us can't make decisions that are right. They're wrong. They're wrong. You really want to fix this? Put it back to the policies we had before and let's scrutinize it, how it unfolds and how it works. And when it doesn't work properly, say, look, that right there, we should change that. We should fix that. But you know what? You need people that are professionals that understand the system to get in there and look at those things. This is very sad. It's very sad for me to say this. It is absolutely disgusting what's happened. And then you've got all those people that went out on a job action and they don't know who to believe and what to happen. And then yesterday, you find out that 8,000 of them came back to work, but 2,000 of them still remained out. And I'm gonna guess and tell you why, because they didn't know how everybody else was gonna vote, and they wanted to stick with the people that they're working with. And guess what? Instantaneously, do you think the state said to them, 8,000 of your brothers and sisters came back to work. Do you want a chance to join them back now that you understand we're gonna get this thing working on this? No, they fired them. They fired 2,000 people. You know what it costs to train people to work in this system? And then you know how vindictive they are? Today, the governor comes out with another rule, which I just spoke about. They don't even want to let them get another job. Is that vindictive? And how legal is it? You're taking away a person's right to put food on their table for their family just because you don't like how they worked for you before? That's what our state government has turned into. I'm disgusted. I'm totally disgusted with what they have. I'm a humane individual. I ran my facility to be humane for the people that worked there, visited, and the inmates that were there. And these people try to do the same thing, but they can't. And you heard what happens to some of them in the process. It's disgusting how the state has turned their back on the corrections staff that are there. I'm totally disgusted. I wish you all would have changed your vote, would have thought about this differently, and I hope that what I just shared with you from my heart and my mind and my experience makes a difference for you to think about what's happening. Because it's terrible what's happening. New York State used to be one of the best run correctional facilities in the country. It's a laughing stock for the whole country right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leverage. Mr. Golaski.
Madam Chair, Mr. Leverage? Yes. I voted yes in favor of it, just so you know. All right, so did my colleague. So you're staring at me the whole time, so I came back to school.
You're the new guy.
I'm the new guy, that's right.
You're okay. You guys are all right. I don't have you out. You guys are all right. I don't have a badge anymore. You're all right.
Okay.
He had to look at somebody. He was just, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leverage. Thank you, everyone, for your spirited conversations. And again, I'd like to thank the COs and friends and family that are here to support you. Thank you very much. I hope what we did tonight makes a difference. P 10925.
P 10925, resolution commending Rensselaer varsity wrestling head coach Michael Quinn upon receiving the Jeffrey Blotnick Inspiration Award, introduced by legislator Rogers and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P 11025.
P 11025, resolution commending Isabel Satalanio upon her first place finish at the New York State Girls Wrestling State Championship, introduced by legislator Grant Hoffman, Biacco, and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P 11125.
1125, resolution recognizing the Our Lady of Victory Church 3rd and 4th grade Pee Wee girls basketball team on its outstanding championship season, introduced by Chairwoman Hoffman and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. P 11225.
P 11225, resolution authorizing the purchase of camera equipment and associated hardware, software, Office of the Rensselaer County Sheriff, introduced by Chairwoman Hoffman and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 11325.
G 11325, resolution authorizing the Board of Elections to enter into an agreement to purchase a 4-year license for election night reporting and preparation of election results reports for filing with the State Board of Elections, introduced by Chairwoman Hoffman and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 11425.
G 11425, resolution authorizing the Board of Elections to enter into an agreement for the production, printing, and mailing of the mail check postcards, introduced by Chairwoman Hoffman.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. G 11525.
G 11525, resolution authorizing acceptance of funds from the New York State Board of Elections ballot by mail grant and amending the 2025 Rensselaer County adopted budget, Board of Elections, introduced by Chairwoman Hoffman and the entire legislative body.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
16 ayes.
So moved. That is our index of resolutions. Legislator privilege. Mr. Zaluski.
Madam Chair, first of all, yeah, I was also confused. I thought you might have been Legislator Leverage's. I couldn't tell who you were looking at.
It's usually Casale.
We're supportive.
I was looking at my friend.
I just wanted to bring up something. I drafted a piece of legislation also for this meeting that didn't get out of committee. And it was also related to law enforcement. And I'm happy to work with anyone on the other side to, if there's anything objectionable, any of the clauses that I put into this legislation that were objectionable, I'd like to know, because again, I don't know who's aware of that it was even put forth, but this was it was a resolution that was condemning the pardons of any violent January 6th rioters, right? The folks that actually beat up police. It's something that's, ever since that happened, the day that that happened, I've been incensed with. I just cannot believe. I have no problem, you wanna pardon folks that were trespassing or might have, broken windows in the whatever, that, no big deal. But the folks that attacked police, dragged an officer down the steps of the Capitol, beat him up, one of those people got 7.5 years and was just let out because of that pardon. To me, that's unacceptable. And I thought that it was a message that we could send as a legislature, bipartisan, out to our higher level elected officials, saying that we don't accept that type of pardon, that we folks that beat up police should do their time. I would like to reintroduce that next month, and I would be happy to work with anyone on that, but that's something that really made me upset. I feel like we're bipartisan on this. This had to do with correctional officers and folks, safety. And my resolution was also, I get it, it's in the political realm also, I understand it, but it really, to me, it was like, you can't excuse folks that beat up police officers. It's that simple to me, so I'll be happy to work with anyone on that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaluski.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Harrington, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Oh, Mr. Gendron, did you have something?
I wanted to thank Vice Chair Lovett for getting up and speaking so passionately. I know that was from the heart. And also Legislator Rogers for your career, and the correctional officers that were here. And I'm very happy that for the most part, we worked bipartisan to pass this resolution this evening. And I can only hope and urge New York State to do the same, and hopefully some common sense can prevail. Not so hopeful at the state level, but I'm very happy that it did here tonight, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gendron. Anybody else? Okay, so I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Mr. Maloney, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Please, everyone, be careful. Have a good night.
I was treading
I saw your brother when he was leaving. He was like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm leaving in with you." He was like, "God, he was pointing at you."
So nice Phil Harrington did the state of support the county, yeah,
That's